We're trying this again. All right, so around this time of year, there are usually a ton of videos that generally are titled something along the lines of like how to become a full-time content creator in 2026. Now, this is not me hating on those videos, as I know that those provide a lot of value, especially to people that are just starting out. However, a lot of the information in most of those videos is very high level, and it motivates you and inspires you to create and like really chase that goal of being a full-time creator in 2026, however that might look for you, which I think is entirely possible if you just stick around and hear me out. But those videos don't always provide the most like tactile, like applicable advice. So on this video, the first video you will see on this channel in 2026, I just want to talk about and give my advice and my experience on how you can become a full-time creator in 2026. To start this conversation, we first need to understand why you're not a full-time creator yet and why creators you might see online and assume are full-time aren't full-time. And the big thing that I think we need to overcome and for you to understand first and foremost is that views and followers do not equate business, so to speak. What does that mean? When I first started making content back in like 2021, bro, I'm literally I've been doing it for so fucking long. When I first started making content back in like 2021, I always had like follower goals and view goals, meaning I always had this mindset of like, oh, when I hit 10,000 followers, I'll make my first product. Or, oh, when I have 50,000 followers, then like brands will start reaching out to me and like all my financial problems will be solved. However, every time I hit those milestones, the opportunity didn't just like fall into my lap. Things didn't just start happening just because I had a lot of views or I had a lot of followers. The first thing you need to understand about social media and becoming a full-time creator is that this idea that you have to have a lot of followers or you have to have a lot of views to make money from it and like make it a career is just entirely not true. And I'm definitely speaking from the perspective of someone trying to get brand deals and sponsorships. And it's definitely true in that realm, but it also applies to like other realms. Maybe you want to do a coaching business, or you want to sell digital products, or you want to, find clients for social media. None of these things require a lot of views and a lot of followers. Some of the most successful people I know on social media, close friends of mine, don't have a lot of followers, don't get a lot of views, and yet they're making more money and have a stronger business than people that have hundreds of thousand followers that don't really know what they're doing. And if that sounds like you, don't worry. We're going to solve that problem right now. I'm going to get into it. I'm going to tell you what you need to do to overcome that problem. All right, so that leads me into the 3 core pillars that if you do, you will be well on your way to becoming a full-time creator in 2026. And if you have never made money from social media or anything or content or anything like that this year, then at the very least, you'll be on your way to making money as a creator in 2026. And the first thing is essentially building off of what I just said, and that is choosing a target industry or niche. For me, when I first started doing brand deals and sponsorships, I just took every single thing that came my way. And at first, it was because I just wanted to build up a resume, and that's great and all. But what ends up happening is if you work with so many brands across so many industries, you don't really become a go-to in any of them. To illustrate what I'm trying to say, let me ask you this. If you were getting married and you wanted to hire a videographer, who would you go to? Would you go to A, the person who only does weddings and specializes in weddings? Or would you go to B, the person who does weddings but also does events and then also does like commercial videography and also does X, Y, and Z? Most people are going to say A. Even if A is twice as much, most people will go to A because they know that that person specializes in that specific thing they're trying to do. So the more that you do work in a specific niche and the more you target a specific niche or industry as a creator, the more brands in that niche are going to come after you and want to work with you. The way that this whole thing works is like these brands and these agencies have lists of creators, and every time they have a campaign they need to do, they just go on that list and they select creators that they think would be a good fit and they reach out to them. And so the more times that you work with specific brands in an industry or a market, the more lists you will be on and the more consistently you'll be getting reached out to, for these campaigns. The second benefit of doing this is that it gives you clarity and focus on the content that you want to be creating. If you identify yourself as a tech and lifestyle creator, it's much easier to wake up on any given day and think of ideas for organic personal content. Like if you know that your whole brand revolves around your lifestyle and technology, then it's much easier to ideate content because you know that the content's going to be around your lifestyle and around tech. And it helps you identify more clearly who your audience is. It's people that are interested in the same things you're interested in your lifestyle and in tech. And that's what tech brands and lifestyle brands obviously want. If it makes sense. And the opposite is true. If you don't give yourself some sort of like high level industry or niche to put yourself in, like what are you making? Like it's the idea, it's like the analysis paralysis. You have so many things that you could create that you create nothing. So it gives you like blinders in a good way. Constraints force creativity. You're not putting yourself in a box here. You're just giving yourself direction, which allows you to be more creative and thrive within that box, if you will. Okay, number 2 on this list is transparency. I know that everyone's heard it a million times, like, oh, authenticity is king. Like you got to be authentic online. But I don't think a lot of people like really understand what that means. Being authentic doesn't just mean like being your silly, goofy self on the camera. It means sharing your opinions and like standing by the beliefs you have. If you think about it, when you go on social media, the people that you like to follow are usually people that you agree with. And when you watch their content, you're like, oh, that's exactly how I feel. That's exactly what I think. That's exactly what I needed to hear. If you're wishy-washy and you don't have opinions and you don't at least share your beliefs, you're going to struggle on building any sort of actual community. For example, a hot topic right now is AI, right? Like so many people want to talk about AI. And you think about the people who are dominating their respective industries, and they have very strong opinions on this, right? Like the people who are deep into the filmmaking niche, right? Like they're like the art film people. They're super anti-AI, which whether or not you agree with it gives them an advantage, because anyone who feels that way, who's just like, oh, F AI, they're taking our jobs, they're going to follow them and they're going to like them a lot. And if you've looked back in the last 6 months at the creators who talk about AI or talk about tech or talk about filmmaking, there are creators who have exponentially blown up because they've picked a side. Same goes on the latter end. If you're someone who's very pro AI, you're going to garner a very strong audience who also is very pro AI. Not saying you got to say some controversial stuff on the internet, but like have an opinion. Don't be afraid to hurt feelings, because like, frankly, if they didn't have the same opinion as you in the first place and they were just going to be a hater, then you don't need them to follow you anyways. And the people that do agree with you are going to be that much stronger of a community and a fan base, if you will. And the reason why that helps build a stronger business and helps you go full time faster in 2026 is because of the support and engagement you get from your audience. Engagement does help. They like when they see 1,000 likes and 100 comments. And so the stronger of a community you have, the more engaged they're going to be and the more receptive they're going to be when you do work with these brands. Because again, it goes back to what I said about picking the industry and industry matching your audience. If your brands that you are working with match your interests and you talk about your interests, your audience is obviously going to be having the same interests. So when you do a brand deal with like an AI or tech brand, it's not like a fucking slap in the face to them, because they expect it from you. They're like, oh, Will's talking about AI. Oh, Will is talking about cameras. Like, makes sense. That's what he talks about in his normal videos. So like when you have an opinion, when you have a clear industry, everything just flows together much, much better. And you have that trust with your audience. All right. The last thing that you need to do is be consistent and build relationships. One, I know like consistency, blah, blah, everybody talks about it, but I mean it in a little bit different of a context here. And that's why I grouped it with relationship building. The more often we show up to our audience with content that's like high quality and good, the more trust we build with that audience, the more we become an authority in that space. If I talk about tech all the time, I become more of an authority in the tech space. And if I do that consistently, you begin to become the person of that industry, of that corner of the internet that you just carved out, right? Like if I love tech and cars and I talk about tech and cars nonstop all the time, eventually, if I'm consistently doing this over the course of, like 6-12 months, I become the guy in that space. And I group that with like relationship building, because so much of these brand deals and these sponsorships come from who you know or relationships that you've had. And so if you're consistently showing up for your audience, and brands and people that work with agencies and all these things are following you and seeing you, you're not only building trust with your community, but you're also building trust with these agencies and these brands who will then in turn be able to trust you with their money to make something for them. Again, with the back to the analogy of like the wedding videographer and all these things, if I'm Adobe, right? I'm a big ass brand and I'm looking for creators to work with. And I come across an account that does a bunch of random videos and a bunch of different niches. And they made one video that would work really well with their brand and the campaign that they're on. But that's the only video that that creator has ever made that would align with their brand. They're probably not going to want to work with you because they're like, yeah, they have the potential. We can see how this video can fit in the campaign, but the rest of his videos don't align with the campaign or with our brand. So it doesn't really make sense. Whereas if you're consistent in the industry and the market and niche that you put yourself in and making content around that, a brand's going to see that and be like, oh, wow, yeah, like look at all these videos that he has repeatedly proven he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. He has trust in the space. We're much more likely to work with them. So when I say consistency in relationship building, it's just being intentional about how you show up on the internet and consistently showing up on the internet, which then in turn turns into relationships. And again, more people reaching out to you. Okay, so if you're still like wishy-washy as to what you actually need to do this year, if like the last 15 minutes of me rambling wasn't like enough, I'm just gonna give you to you as plainly as possible in 5 steps. Step 1, choose an industry or niche that you want to target and that you want to work with. This needs to be something that you are passionate about. Don't just chase the money. Just because like tech and AI pays the most, or just because the creators that you like are in that space, doesn't mean that you need to do it too, or you should do it. Pick an industry that you're actually, passionate about, something that you can do and not get burnt out from. So that is number 1. Pick an industry or a niche that you want to target. Numero dos, pick one platform and figure out a cadence and posting consistency that will not only be effective, but also avoid you burning out. I know it's common for people to be like, oh, write a newsletter, turn that newsletter into a YouTube video, turn that YouTube video into like 5 shorts, yada, yada, whatever. No, don't do that. Just pick a platform that aligns with what you want to do long-term. Like if you're more of a long form content person, do that. If you prefer short form, do that. Pick a platform, one, focus on that entirely and figure out a cadence that you can, repeat for like 6-12 months. Don't say you're going to post 3 videos a week if in 2 months you can't do that. If you can only post 1 a week, but you're able to do that for 12 months, that's exponentially better. So pick one platform and find a cadence that works for you. Number 3, this one's easy. Just be yourself on camera. I know that talking to the camera at first is like super unnatural and like feels really weird, but I promise if you just do it consistently for like a month, it will just come second nature. Like you just have to get into the rhythm of doing it more, and you will be more natural. If you go back and look at my videos on my account from like 2020, bro, I was a robot, monotone. But if you just do it consistently, like night and day difference within a month. And so you just have to be yourself, have an opinion, share your beliefs. Don't walk the fence, pick a side. You don't gotta say something controversial, but just like give something people to attach themselves to and see themselves in you. Be yourself. Number 4 is to reach out and make connections in the space. Before I landed any brand deals, I made a list of like 30 brands that I wanted to work with. And I went on LinkedIn and whatever site I could to find the people who were in their marketing agency or influencer marketing department in the company. And I found their emails and I just reached out and I introduced myself. I sent, each email was custom written to each brand. I sent some of my work. I sent, some ideas that I might have for collaborations. And that led to my first few brand deals and actually led to me to my first 5-figure brand deal, which was like my third brand deal ever. And that would not have happened if I didn't introduce myself. So a lot of creators just kind of make content and sit back and wait. And, once you get to a certain point where you have like this repertoire of work with brands and you're on a lot of these lists, then like, yeah, you don't have to worry about doing outreach. Everything is inbound. But to start, you have to do what nobody's doing. And most creators aren't outreaching to brands. But like, if you treat this like a business, make connection. Make a list of like 30 brands you want to work with. Find people in their influencer marketing department or head of influencer marketing or whatever, and email them and reach out and just introduce yourself and say, hey, I don't know if you have any campaigns going on right now, but if you do, I'd love to be a part of it. If you don't, here's some of my work. This is how I think we could work together. This is why think we'd be a good fit. Let me know if you want to chat sometime. Something like that. Just introduce yourself, build relationships in the space. Bonus tip on this one, you can do this amongst your peers as well, like other creators. I try to be like the most connected creator in the world. Like if another creator follows me, I'm gonna DM them at the very least and just like introduce myself and just say, hey, what's up? And at the most, I'm going to get on a call with them because you never know. Like there have been times where I'm not a good fit for a campaign, but a friend of mine is. And so I refer the brand to that friend. So you never know what kind of opportunities come just from being friends with other creators. And it's cool. Like that's the whole point, right? It's fucking social media, man. The fifth and final piece of advice is to treat content like relationship building. Treat it as every video that you post is like one more coin in the piggy bank of trust and authority within my community, amongst my followers, amongst my peers, and amongst companies and brands that you might want to work with. The more often you are showing up within an industry, the more brands within that industry are going to want to work with you and the higher demand you have. And so the more that you can just treat your content as authority building and be intentional with what you're making. And when you make it, you think, okay, like what types of brands are actually going to see this and be like, I can envision my product in that. Obviously, every piece of personal content doesn't need to be a spec ad, so to speak, or be some video that's like, I gotta get, brand sponsorships from this. But the more intentional you are about it, and the more you just at least have it top of mind or in your mind thinking about when you're creating, the more opportunities will present themselves to you. And like to end, going full time isn't like this massive moment, and it happens differently for everybody, and it happens at a different time for everybody in a different way for everybody. I know people who were making nothing and then a month later were making $500,000 a year. Like I know people who did brand deals and then did digital products and then went back. Like there's so many ways that you can do it. And so the important thing is that you do it in a way that makes sense for what you want to do long term and not what somebody else is doing just because you like their content. Like I've done a million different things online with content, and I'm finally at a point now where I'm like happy with how I'm making money and the business that I've built. But it's taken me a lot of trial and error to get here. If anybody's been here since like the beginning, like 2021, you know what I'm talking about. So like don't do something just because somebody else is doing it. Like you have to love what you're doing and love the industry and whatnot that you're going towards, at least for now. If down the road you're like, I don't give a shit about this, then like move on and pivot. Like it's fine. You can do that. All right. I hope that you guys found this video valuable. If you have any questions that I didn't answer in the video, or my video made you think of questions that I didn't answer, just leave them in the comments down below, and I will try and answer them to the best of my ability. I haven't done this in a while. What do I say? Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Peace. Bro.